Hey everyone, if you're listening in today, chances are maybe you've had to deal with a job loss recently, and honestly, it could feel like the rug's been pulled out from under you.
Yeah, it's a tough spot, no doubt about it. But
But what if this isn't the end of the story? What if this is like a springboard,
yeah.
for something way bigger, something better, your brightest future even?
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it right away. A crucial perspective shift.
Right.
To feel the initial hit of a layoff is natural. But what we're looking at here offers a really compelling way to see this as a turning point more than a setback.
Exactly. And we're going to explore this idea that might sound a little different at first, but just stick with me. Okay, we're going to reframe this layoff as a promotion.
Okay, a promotion. Interesting.
Now, I know you might be thinking promotion. Well, what?
Yeah, where are we going with this?
Right. Well, think about it. Like, that old joke from Amazon? When someone leaves, they say they've been promoted to customer.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, lighthearted, but not all that comforting, maybe.
Exactly.
Right.
But we're going to take that idea of a role change and we're going to twist it.
Okay. Yeah.
You're not being promoted to someone else's customer. You're being promoted to franchisee.
All right, I like it.
So think about it. You've spent all this time and energy. You've built up skills working for someone else. You've dealt with the ups and downs. You maybe led teams even.
Right.
Now, what if you took all that experience and used it to build your own thing?
Your own venture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where you don't have to worry about layoffs anymore.
Because you're the one calling the shots.
Exactly. And that's where these materials we've been diving into come in. They lay out a real roadmap.
A tangible path.
Yes, for how someone just like you can make that move into franchise ownership. And that's what we're really looking at as a potential bright future for you.
Exactly. And that's our goal with this deep dive, right? To take the best parts of these sources and see if franchising really could be the right move for you to go from employee to owner.
Right. Okay, so let's get into this reframing thing because it's important,
Yeah, it's the foundation.
Losing a job is tough. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
It affects your confidence, your finances, your security.
Your whole sense of yourself, even.
Exactly. But these sources really encourage us to not get stuck in that feeling of rejection.
Absolutely. Got to acknowledge those feelings for sure.
Yeah.
But the real key is to shift your focus, to see the potential for opportunity.
Yeah, like that open door.
Right. And the sources offer some really powerful ways to shift your mindset instead of, I lost a job, how about I gained an opportunity?
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
Right.
Or this one, I'm not unemployed. I'm self-employed in training.
I love that one.
Right? It just changes the whole feeling.
Yeah, completely different perspective.
And then there's this one. This isn't an ending. It's a new beginning that I control. And that control part, that seems really key.
Oh, absolutely. Especially after a layoff when you probably didn't have much control at all.
Exactly. So you're thinking about this as an opportunity now. Why franchising specifically?
Good question.
Yeah. The stuff we've been going through really makes the case that it's a great fit for folks coming from structured environments, corporations, government, that kind of thing.
It really is.
So what makes it such a good match?
Well, the sources point to 4 big advantages that really connect with that professional background. The first one is proven systems.
Yeah.
So you're not starting from nothing,
Right.
It's not a blank slate. A franchise gives you a solid structure and a business model that's already working.
Like a recipe.
Yeah, exactly. And second, you get training and support.
Yeah.
You don't need to be an expert in that specific field because the franchisor teaches you what you need to know.
Well, that's good to know.
And they keep supporting you as you go along, so you're not alone in this.
It's got backup.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then there's established brand power. You're not starting a no-name brand.
Yeah.
You're using a name and a reputation that people already recognize, and that can make things so much easier.
It's like a head start.
Huge head start. And finally, scalability. You can grow beyond just one location. You could build a real business, a mini empire even.
That's the dream, right?
It is for a lot of people, and it's a real possibility with franchising.
So if you've been working with established rules and hierarchies and all that, structured systems, probably feel more comfortable than trying to figure everything out on your own.
For sure. It's familiar territory.
And that training and support, that takes a lot of pressure off, right?
It's a game changer. You're not in the deep end all alone.
Yeah, you're not flailing around.
Exactly. And think about it. You're getting that brand recognition right away, which can really help you get off the ground faster and maybe even save you some money on marketing compared to starting something totally new.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so franchising has these advantages built in, but like these sources really emphasize you got to bring your own skills and experience to the table too.
You're not just buying a job, you're building a business.
Exactly. And the good news is you probably got a ton of skills from your past jobs that you could use. So for someone out there who's thinking, yeah, but what do I know about running a whatever type of franchise? What skills should they be thinking about?
That's the million-dollar question. And the sources break it down into a few key areas. So first, think about leadership and management. Have you ever supervised people managed? Managed budgets been part of making plans happen?
That's strategic stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Those are valuable skills for running any franchise. You might not be doing every single task yourself, but you'll be guiding your team, making sure things are running smoothly.
Like if it's a food franchise, you might not be making the sandwiches, but you're in charge of the people who are in the whole operation.
Exactly. What else you got?
All right. What about sales and marketing? Is that important?
Huge. Have you ever done customer service, worked on branding, anything to do with selling something directly or indirectly?
Right.
Because in a lot of franchises, especially ones where you're interacting with customers all the time, knowing how to connect with people and keep them happy is essential.
Yeah, makes sense. So
Yeah.
basically any job where you're working with clients or promoting something that would have helped you build those skills.
You got it. Got it.
What about the stuff that's not as customer facing, the behind the scenes stuff?
Operations and processes. That's where it's at. If you're someone who likes things organized, if you get why it's important to follow the rules and make things run efficiently, a well-structured franchise is going to feel really good.
Right up your alley.
Exactly. Your experience with working within systems and maybe even making them better can be a huge plus.
Yeah. So if you're used to making things run smoothly, stepping into a franchise with guidelines already in place, that probably feels pretty natural.
It's sure. All right, last one. What about customer relations?
Oh, yeah. People skills?
Exactly. If you're good at building relationships with people, especially in a business where you're providing a service, that's a big advantage because repeat business and word of mouth, they're like gold.
They keep things going.
They're the engine. And the big point here is don't just jump into any franchise,
Be picky.
Find one that really matches your strengths and what you're good at from your past work.
Okay, so you're thinking about this layoff in a new way. You're seeing the skills you have. How do you even figure out what kind of franchise is right for you?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting.
Lay it on me.
The stuff we've been looking at talks about defining your ideal business model.
Okay.
And that starts with some serious self-reflection. The sources have you asked yourself some key questions first. How hands-on do you want to be?
Oh, yeah, good question.
Do you want to be in the thick of it every day, working directly with customers and employees? Or are you more of a big picture person who wants to manage the managers?
Like the CEO.
Exactly. You want to be in the trenches or leading the charge from the strategy room?
Two very different approaches. What else should we be considering?
What about the physical format of the business? Brick and mortar with the storefront and people coming in.
Traditional.
Yeah, or maybe a mobile service where you go to the customer, or even a home-based business. Which one feels right for you?
Yeah, lifestyle. That's going to be a big factor, right?
Absolutely. You're trying to build a brighter future. So what does that actually look like day to day?
Work-life balance, all that.
Right. Do you need every weekend off? Are you all about growing as fast as possible and maybe building a huge operation? Or are you thinking more about passive income where you can eventually step back from the day-to-day?
Different strokes for different folks. And, of course, the money part. How much can you invest? What kind of funding can you get? It's
not just about what sounds fun,
Yeah.
It's about finding something that matches your skills, your lifestyle, and what you can actually afford.
Right. It's all got to line up. Okay. Now, the sources were pretty clear. Don't just go online and search for, top franchises.
Yeah, that's a trap.
Why is that? And what should you do instead?
It's like searching for best jobs. You'll get a lot of generic stuff, maybe some biased stuff, maybe not the full picture.
Not the inside scoop.
Exactly. So the sources recommend talking to an expert, a franchise consultant.
Okay. And these consultants, their services are usually free for the person looking to buy a franchise. Right? How does that work?
Yeah, that's the cool part. They're like matchmakers. They get to know you, your skills, your money situation, what you want your life to be like.
They do their homework.
Yeah, and then they connect you with franchises that seem like a good fit. Plus, they help you with all the research and legwork, due diligence, connecting with owners, making sure you don't make any big mistakes.
Right, because there are pitfalls out there.
Oh, for sure. Like picking a franchise just because the name is big
Right.
without looking closely at how the business actually runs and if it makes money.
So they're like a guide, a mentor.
Yeah, someone who's got your back and isn't trying to sell you on any one specific franchise.
That's really valuable.
Oh.
Okay, so you've done your research, you've talked to some consultants, you've got a few franchises that look promising. What's next?
This is a big one. You got to talk to people who already own those franchises.
The people in the trenches.
Yeah, get the real story. What's it actually like to run that business day in and day out.
What kind of questions should you be asking them?
Well, you want to know, are they happy? Did they make a good decision? Is the money what they expected? What were the surprises? What do they wish they knew before they started? And really important, how's the support from the franchisor? Are they there for you? Do they communicate well?
Like, are they a good partner?
Exactly. That's what you want. And you won't get that from brochures and websites, you know?
Right, you got to hear it from the horse's mouth, so to speak.
Exactly. If you hear good things from a bunch of different owners, that's a really good sign.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've done your research, you've talked to franchisees, you're feeling good about a specific opportunity. Now, how do you pay for this thing?
The money question.
Right, the sources mentioned different funding options. What are some of the common ones?
A lot of people think you need a ton of cash sitting around, but there are other ways to do it.
Good to know.
The sources talk about SBA loans. Those are government-backed loans specifically for small businesses. And franchises are eligible.
Oh, interesting.
Another one that people don't always think about is using your 401k. You can actually roll over money from your retirement account to invest in your own business without getting penalized for early withdrawal. But you got to be careful, you know?
Yeah, there are rules.
Definitely talk to an expert. Make sure you understand all the details and the risks before you do that.
Right, so that's an option a lot of people might not know about what else is out there.
Well, some franchises have their own financing programs for people who qualify, so it's always worth asking.
Never hurts to ask.
Exactly, and you could also look for investors or partners who are willing to put up some money in exchange for a share of the business.
So you've got options.
You do, and the key is to change your thinking. Don't think of it as spending money. Think of it as investing in a business that's already proven itself and that can make you money in the long run.
Buy yourself a job.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, so you've done all the research. You figured out the money part. You're ready to take the plunge. What does it actually feel like to go from being an employee to being the boss? It's a whole new world in a lot of ways. Tell me about it.
You go from waiting for permission, following someone else's lead, maybe worrying about getting laid off again, to making the decisions yourself, seeing the direct results of your hard work, building something that's yours.
That's gotta feel good.
It does, and it can really change your whole perspective. You know, your sense of purpose, your control over your work life, your vision for the future.
Yeah, that control part has got to be so empowering, especially after going through a layoff where you felt like you had no control.
Absolutely, and you know, a lot of successful franchise owners didn't have a ton of experience running businesses before they started.
Really?
What they had was the drive to be in control, the willingness to learn and follow the system that works, and the dedication to build something for themselves.
That's inspiring. Okay, so if you're listening and you're feeling a little lost after losing your job, the message here is you're not stuck. This isn't the end. It can be a whole new beginning where you're in charge. Exactly. You've got a lot of skills and talents from all your years of working. You've built up valuable experience, and now you can use it to create something for yourself.
You're building your own future.
Exactly, and you're not alone in this border. The franchise world is all about support training, a whole network of people who are doing the same thing.
So you've got a community?
Yeah, you're part of something bigger. So, like we talked about, really think about reframing this moment in your career.
Think about it as a promotion.
Not to just being another customer, not to another job where you could get laid off again, but to being your own boss, leading your own business, building a future where you're in control of your own success.
I like it. And on that note, here's something to think about as you move forward. What kind of empire, whatever that means to you, could you build with all the skills and experience you already have by using the opportunities that franchising offers?
It's a big question, and it's worth asking yourself.
It is food for thought, for sure. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Till next time.